Hi, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the weekly podcast. I am so sorry we missed each other for a couple of weeks. There were many challenges that we had to overcome, so apologies about that. Luckily, load shedding seems to be at a reduced level currently, so things seem to be relatively back on track. So, firstly, this is my weekly Tuesday podcast. We've moved it to around 1 o'clock just to make it a bit easier for those who want to watch during lunchtime. So then you can sit back, eat your fruit salad or KFC, whatever you're having for lunch, and just tune in and watch a little bit of the content. My groups is about interpersonal dynamics and relationships post rehab. So basically, in my groups, we talk about relationships and how to navigate those after recovery or after a recovery program. So just before I jump in, I just want to do a quick introduction on what the MyRehab Cafe community is about, so that you have an idea on, for those who are watching on the public channels, that you know more or less what is cooking. All right, so the MyRehab Cafe private and unsearchable Facebook group is the aftercare branch of the MyRehab Group of Dual Diagnosis Addiction Centers, or ARC as it was formerly known as. The MyRehab Center are private inpatient drug and alcohol rehab centers that offer high-quality healthcare with high-quality outcomes. The MyRehab Cafe Facebook group has exclusive access to loads of content, and if you aren't a member of the MyRehab Cafe, you are likely watching this on a public channel. This means that you will have around 10 to 20 minutes with us or access to this live broadcast before we switch over to the exclusive and private and unsearchable MyRehab Cafe Facebook group. Please remember to sign up and join the MyRehab Cafe, guys, as this is where the interesting part of the live videos happen. If you want to find out how to join the MyRehab Cafe, please check out the MyRehab Cafe website, which is www.myrehab.com. If you want to participate in this workshop, please join in via video or audio via the link in the comment section, or leave a comment and I should be able to bring it onto the screen, and my guests and I can see what we can do about answering any questions that you may have. If you are a MyRehab Cafe member and you would like a higher degree of anonymity or confidentiality, then please wait for us to end the broadcast on the public channel before hopping on or posting. I'll make an announcement when we're switching over. All right, so that is basically the introduction, so that you know what it's about. Today, we are going to talk a little bit about attachment styles. So I said about 2 weeks ago or so, I said that we've been talking a lot about relationships with other people, relationships with partners, with friends, with family members, and like I said, how to navigate these relationships post recovery. But at the end of the day, we need to also look at the relationship that a person has with themselves, because I think it actually starts more with the self. You need, and I know it's a cliche, but they often say, you need to love and respect and care and validate and accept yourself first before you can expect those things from other people. So I thought it might be good that we switch over for a couple of weeks, and we're going to talk a little bit about self-care and a little bit about how to cultivate or work on the relationship that you have with yourself, which is, like I said, probably the most important relationship and the one that we tend to neglect the most. So I will ask Kirsty just to bring the worksheet onto the screen for us, please. Then we tend to do that. We tend to use a worksheet as a framework, just so that everybody can follow, and that you can also work through the worksheet afterwards in your own time. Then at least you have something tangible that you can also take away from the podcast. All right, so it says attachment style and how they affect our adult relationships. So as I said in many of my podcasts, if I do divert my eyes to that side, it's just because I have a bigger screen on my left, which makes it easier for me to just view and read all from. So yes, I know it's a little bit distracting, but just bear with me. So basically, I'm going to start with the beginning that says, attachment is a special emotional relationship that involves an exchange of comfort, care, pleasure, and our early attachment styles are established in childhood through the infant caregiver relationship. The behavior of the primary caregiver usually one's parents, contribute to and form the way that a child perceives close relationships. So we know when a little baby is born, that baby is not self-sufficient and definitely not independent. They are extremely vulnerable, fragile, and they also require, or they are dependent or reliable on their caregivers to be able to nurture and care for them and have their needs met. So that is kind of where, whether it is a parent or whether it is a guardian or, like we said, a caregiver, and it can also be more than one person, but generally children or babies tend to kind of latch onto two main adult figures, and they use these relationships to kind of learn their belief system around relationships. Obviously, when the child is an infant, then it is difficult for the child to reflect or to have awareness on what the relationship is like. But even in the womb, they say, the relationship and the attachment bond is already forming. So it is not something necessarily, that they only start registering or internalizing when they can start reflecting on things. It definitely has an impact, or the relationship really starts forming from, like I said, even before birth. So as I said here, that those relationships obviously come then from the childhood years, and the child learns then how to generalize their belief onto other relationships as well. So very much the relationship they have with their parents or caregivers sets the tone for the way in which they're going to approach, the way in which they're going to trust in relationships, the way in which they're going to allow themselves to form relationships with other people. So it's going to definitely have a significant effect on the rest or the remainder of their lives. All right, sorry, you will have to just enlarge the thing a little bit so I can read again. Okay, so John Bowlby is actually the father of this whole attachment style theory. So Bowlby wrote a lot of books. I mean, it's easy to just Google him if you want to read a little bit more of his own work. But he believed that there are four distinguishing characteristics of attachment. So the first one is proximity maintenance. That's the desire to be near the people that we are attached to. So obviously an infant child desperately wants to be close to the caregiver. You will not see an infant or even a young child wanting to stay long periods away from the person that they have their primary attachments with. They generally long for or would call out or like I said, make it known that they want that comfort and that nurture, and for that they really want in physical distance, to be close to that caregiver. Safe haven, being able to return to the attachment figure for comfort and safety in the face of fear or threat. So we know obviously an infant cannot walk. So in the beginning, the infant doesn't really have a lot of opportunity to move away from the caregiver. But when the child starts growing up and they start to talk and to walk, they tend to start wanting to explore. So you will see children kind of starting to push the boundaries a little bit. So if you are sitting at Spur or a restaurant, you will see they will disappear for a few seconds and then they'll come back, or they'll just, their attention will be maybe diverted to something else, but the moment they start feeling insecure or unsafe, they immediately search for their attachment figure again, or their caregiver, because they feel that the caregiver should then be close enough to say, hey, I've got you, everything is okay, don't stress. So they're not talking about actual threats. Obviously, that can be the case as well. But children obviously are more scared than adults. So children perceive certain things as being more scary than an adult. A specific noise maybe, or maybe if the place is too overcrowded, then all of a sudden a child can feel confident and then suddenly feel very insecure, and then they want to be able to look around and say, oh, but there is my caregiver seems to be happy and fine and laughing, so that means the environment is still safe, so I can continue exploring. Or if I really feel unsafe, I can just run up to my caregiver and they'll give me a hug, or they'll give me some reassurance, which will give me the confidence to go and explore again. Then a secure base. So the attachment figure acts as a base of security from which the child can explore the surrounding environment. So like I said, it doesn't help the caregiver or the parent is in and out of that child's life or out of their proximity. They need to kind of be consistent as much as possible so that they know, at the end of the day, like I said, I can turn around and the caregiver will be in my nearby, like I said, proximity or distance. Then separation distress. Anxiety can occur in the absence of the attachment figure. And that we'll talk a little bit later on about. If a child does not seem distressed, especially a very young child, if they don't seem distressed at all for long periods of time being away from their caregiver, it might raise a bit of questions on how much they perceive that caregiver to really be a base of safety. Generally, you will see a typical child, especially 2-3 years old, when they start having separation anxiety, they will become quite distressed if the parent, has to step out for a little bit or drops them off at school or things like that. So there will definitely be a visible discomfort from that infant or that child. So those are the 4 main characteristics of attachment. Unfortunately, our time on the public channel is depleted. So we're going to move over to the unsearchable Facebook group, the private unsearchable Facebook group. So those who are switching over with me are fantastic. I will see you on the other side. And those who just tuned in for the quick first part of the video, we really hope that you join the MyRehab Cafe. But otherwise, I will see you guys then next week. All right. Thanks so much.
What's up, guys? MyRehab Helper here. I want to tell you about a refreshing approach to a process of self-discovery for anyone that's just left a rehab program for substance abuse issues, or for anyone wanting to engage with a community of others on a journey of self-discovery. The MyRehab Cafe initiative is a thriving community focused on sobriety. You'll find that this group is thriving and full of conversations and discussion on what is working for those who are staying sober. Some members have used 12-step programs and others have never stepped foot into a meeting, but they all have one thing in common. They are serious about quitting drinking and leading a better life. New members often express how friendly, open, and welcoming the community feels, even more than they expected. We achieve this by fostering a community built on trust and fairness, with policies in place and enforce a no jerks allowed policy. We will make a point of getting you plugged in and connected with the community, and all this with the understanding that you want to be here and the expectation that you will put in the effort and participate in the group. Members gain access to recovery resources like worksheets, online lectures, online Q&A sessions, online discussion forums, online workshops, linking with an accountability partner and the MyRehab podcast. In MyRehab Cafe, you'll get advice and tips from members who have been sober for years, from those who have been where you are. They have a tremendous amount of experience to share, but so do you. We have chosen to grow this group slowly, paying attention to who may be a good fit and who may not be. This group may not be for everyone, and that's okay. Those who realize it's not about what you get from the community, but what you can give, are the ones who we see being the most successful. Those who ask questions, share with others, attend webinars, and get out of their comfort zones are the ones who benefit the most from this private online community. Thanks for listening, guys. MyRehab Helper, over and out.